Her family said no, not quietly, not gently, with the specific finality of people who had already decided that this particular man who loved their daughter completely, was not enough. Not the right background, not the right tribe, not what they had worked for and sacrificed for and prayed for. And she listened to them. She was 22 years old and she loved him, and she let him go because the people she loved most told her to. Today on Story Files, I want to tell you what happened 40 years later and what it cost her to find out that the thing her family rejected was the very thing she had been looking for in every room she walked into for the next 4 decades. Welcome back to YinkusPepe Talks, real talk, real life with clear eyes. My name is YinkusPepe, and this is the Story Files, where we tell real stories about real people, because sometimes the most important truths about love can only be found in the specific details of how real people live them. The beginning. Adeze was 22 when she met Kofi. She was finishing her degree. He was finishing his as well. They met the way young people meet when they are paying attention at the intersection of two lives that were not yet certain of their direction, but were suddenly very certain about each other. He was Ghanaian and she was Nigerian. In the specific geography of their families, that gap was not just cultural, it was political. It carried the weight of unspoken hierarchies and old assumptions and the particular stubbornness of parents who had sacrificed everything to give their children options and believed that exercising those options meant choosing someone who matched the picture they had in mind. Kofi did not match that picture. He was kind. He was present. He was the kind of man who remembered small things and showed up without being asked and made Adeze feel, for the first time in her life, like someone was actually paying attention to who she was rather than who she was supposed to become. But he was Ghanaian, and her family said no. Not in the conversation, in the accumulated pressure of 100 small comments and pointed silences and the specific looks exchanged across dinner tables that communicated everything without saying anything directly. The message was clear. This is not what we had in mind, and this is not who we sacrificed for you to choose. She was 22. She was not yet strong enough to stand inside the gap between the person she loved and the people who loved her. She chose her family and she let him go. The 40 years. What happened in the decades between that goodbye and what came next is not empty space. It is a full life. Adeze married a Nigerian man her family approved of, a man who was, by every external measure, the right choice, the right background, the right family, the right match. The marriage lasted 14 years and it produced 3 children. It contained genuine moments of love and genuine seasons of difficulty and the specific ordinary weight of 2 people who were compatible on paper but had never quite found the thing underneath the paper that makes a marriage feel like home. When it ended, she did not fall apart. She rebuilt, quietly, carefully, with the specific dignity of a woman who has learned through hard experiences what she actually needs rather than what she was told to want. She dated occasionally. Over the years, nobody landed. She built a career, raised her children, built a life that was full and real and genuinely hers. But somewhere underneath all of it, in the specific place that never quite quieted, there was a question she had never fully answered. What if she had chosen differently at 22? Kofi had also married a Ghanaian woman his family approved of. They had 2 children. The marriage was good for many years and then it was difficult, and then his wife became ill. He nursed her through 3 years of illness with the complete devotion of a man who understood what a vow actually meant. When she died, he was 58 years old, and the question he had never fully answered was the same. When she died, he was 58 years old, and the question he had never fully answered was exactly the same one Adeze had been carrying. The funeral. They met again at a mutual friend's funeral in London. Neither of them was expecting it. Neither of them had planned it. Life simply put them in the same room after 40 years and left them to decide what to do with that. She saw him across the room before he saw her. And she said later that in the specific second before recognition arrived, in the moment when he was just a man in her room and she was just a woman who happened to be looking in his direction, something in her already knew. Then he turned and they looked at each other across 40 years. He had gray at his temples now. She had laugh lines she had not had at 22. Both of them had been thoroughly lived in by the decades between that first goodbye and this unexpected hello. They were not the people they had been. They were something better and something more complicated and something that recognized each other in a way that had nothing to do with who they used to be and everything to do with who they had become. They talked for 3 hours at the reception. Not about the past, about now, about who they were at this specific moment in their lives, about what mattered to them, about what they had learned and lost and what they still hoped for, with whatever time remained. And somewhere in those 3 hours, something that had been quietly waiting for 40 years finally exhaled. The conversation with her family. When Adeze told her mother she had reconnected with Kofi, that she was seeing him and that it was serious, that she believed this was the person she should have chosen 40 years ago, her mother was quiet for a long time. And then her mother said something that Adeze had not expected. She said, "I know. Not I am sorry. Not I was wrong. Just I know." It was the most honest thing her mother had ever said to her about it, an acknowledgement without apology that carried within it the specific weight of a woman who had watched her daughter make a choice that cost her something real and had never quite been able to name that cost out loud. The family that had said no at 22 said yes at 62, not because Kofi had become someone different, but because 40 years of living had made the things they once considered disqualifying look exactly like what they were: small, arbitrary, and completely irrelevant to the question of whether two people could build a life together. The wedding. They married quietly, a small ceremony, children and close friends, no grand production, no performance, just two people in their 60s standing before witnesses and saying the words they should have been allowed to say 40 years earlier, and meaning them with the specific weight of people who knew exactly what it had cost not to say them sooner. Her daughter gave a speech. She talked about watching her mother look at Kofi and seeing something on her face she had never seen before. A specific settling, a specific ease, like a person who had been holding something for a very long time and had finally been allowed to put it down. Kofi's son talked about his father, about how he had watched him grieve his first wife faithfully and completely, and how he had watched him in the months since Adeze had come back into his life become someone who laughed differently, more easily, more often, like a frequency had been restored that had been missing for a long time. After the ceremony, Kofi said one thing to Adeze that she has repeated to everyone who has asked about their story. He said, "I never stopped. I just waited until you were ready." I want to sit with that sentence for a moment. I never stopped. I just waited until you were ready. There's a version of the story that is a tragedy. Two people who loved each other and were kept apart by the opinions of people who should not have had that much power over a decision that was never theirs to make. 40 years of separate living, 40 years of the question underneath everything. But I do not think that is the whole story, because the people they were at 22 were not yet the people who could hold what they have now. The Adeze who let him go had not yet done the living that made her capable of receiving a love that asked nothing of her except that she choose it freely. The Kofi who was let go had not yet become the man whose faithfulness to his first marriage would make him someone Adeze could trust completely. They needed the 40 years, not as punishment, as preparation. And to the families who said no, I want to say this with love and without bitterness. Your children's love lives are not yours to manage, not at 22 and not ever. The criteria you apply to their choices are your criteria, born from your fears and your generation and your specific understanding of what protection looks like. But protection that costs your child the person they were made to love is not protection. It is control. And control dressed as love is one of the most expensive things a family can give a child. Let your children choose. Trust what they know about their own hearts. And if you cannot do that, at least be honest enough, when the decades have passed and the evidence is in, to say what Adeze's mother said, I know. Thank you so much for watching. If this conversation resonated with you, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe and join the conversation in the comments below. And until next time, this is YinkusPepe.